All right, today we are diving deep into the mystery of a lost colony, a group of people who just vanished for generations, and the incredible story of what happened when they were found. So let's get right into it. This question is at the heart of an incredible story from the Book of Mormon. It's got everything: a lost people, a high-stakes rescue mission, and this deep search for redemption. We're going to look at, how does a whole society just lose its way? And maybe, more importantly, what does it take to find its way back? Okay, so our story kicks off with a king named MOSIAH. And his people, they're getting anxious. They're practically begging him to figure out this mystery that's been hanging over them for decades. See, a whole group of their people left the city of Zarahemla years and years ago. And then, just silence. Nothing. And that silence has become deafening. So King Mosiah finally says, okay, let's do this. He puts together this elite team of 16 guys led by a man named Ammon, who's described as strong and mighty. Their mission sounds simple enough, right? Just head out into the wilderness and find our long-lost brethren. But here's the catch. They have no idea where to go. No map, no compass, nothing. They're literally just walking into the unknown. And let me tell you, this journey was brutal. We're talking 40 days. For 40 days, they are just wandering around, totally lost. They're dealing with starvation, thirst, you name it. They're at the absolute breaking point, about to give up and head home, when they finally see something, a sign that people might actually be nearby. So, you'd think, after 40 days in the wilderness, the hard part's over, right? Well, not exactly. Their troubles are really just beginning. Because the welcome they get is, well, it's anything but welcoming. Ammon and a couple of his guys go ahead to check things out, and bam, they're instantly surrounded by the king's guards. They're captured, tied up, and thrown in prison. Just like that. So for 2 whole days, they're sitting in chains, wondering what on earth is going on. Their whole mission is hanging by a thread. Finally, they get dragged in front of the local king, a guy named Limhi. And he is not happy. He basically tells them, the only reason you're not dead right now is because I want to know who you are and what you think you're doing showing up at my city walls. The tension here is just off the charts. And this slide just nails the core problem, right? You've got this huge misunderstanding. On one side, you have King Limhi, who's thinking, these guys are spies, they're enemies, they probably deserve to die. But on the other side, Ammon knows the complete opposite is true. We're your family, we're here to help. Everything, and I mean everything, is riding on clearing this up. So this incredibly tense standoff leads to one of the most dramatic turnarounds you can imagine. We're about to see suspicion and fear just melt away and turn into this incredible hope. And it all happens because of one single sentence. Ammon finally gets his chance to speak. He identifies himself, he explains he's a descendant of Zarahemla, and he tells the king, we've come to find our brethren. Think about that. He's not just saying we come in peace. He's saying we're family. And the impact on King Limhi is, well, it's instant. The moment Limhi hears those words, all that fear, all that suspicion, it just evaporates. It's replaced by this overwhelming joy. The text says he was exceedingly glad. I mean, talk about a complete 180. This is the same guy who was threatening to kill them just a minute ago. And for Limhi, this is so much bigger than just finding long-lost relatives. He immediately sees Ammon as their ticket out. He says, I know for a fact our brethren are alive and they will deliver us from our bondage. It's like a switch flips in his mind from total despair to absolute certainty that rescue is here. So, now that there's a spark of hope, Limhi doesn't mess around. He calls all of his people together. Why? Because he needs to give them a history lesson. A really painful one. He has to explain exactly how they got into this mess to begin with. And this is pretty amazing. Limhi gets up in front of everyone, and he doesn't point fingers at their enemies. He doesn't blame the Lamanites who are oppressing them. No, he points the finger right back at themselves. He says, listen, we are in bondage because of our own mistakes, our own bad choices. And when he says bondage, he's not being dramatic. This was a brutal, day-to-day reality. Just look at this tax. They had to give up half of everything they owned and produced. Half their corn, half their animals, everything. It was a tax designed to keep them poor and powerless. Limhi then connects the dots for them, step by step. He talks about how the people started fighting amongst themselves, how they fell into sin, but the real point of no return? When they killed a prophet, a man named Abinadi who was sent to warn them. That, Limhi says, was the moment God allowed them to fall into bondage. He basically quotes the prophet they killed, reminding them of a simple, universal law they chose to forget. If you sow filthiness, you're going to reap poison. It's cause and effect. They planted the seeds of their own misery, and now they were living in the harvest. But here's the thing. Limhi isn't just trying to make everyone feel bad. That's not the goal. After dragging them through this really dark history, he pivots. He completely changes direction to show them, okay, that was the past. Here's our path to a better future. You can just feel the energy in the room shift. He tells them, lift up your heads, be comforted. He's saying the time is now, right now, when we can finally be free. It's a message of immediate hope, a promise that their subjugation is about to end. And this really gets to the heart of his message. Deliverance isn't something that just happens to you. Yeah, Ammon showing up was the spark, but Limhi's telling his people that real freedom has to come from within. He gives them a 3-step plan. Turn to the Lord, trust him completely, and serve him with everything you've got. Then, he says, you will be delivered. So, at the end of all this, we're left with a really big question, aren't we? How does telling the story of our past, especially the ugly parts, affect our hope for the future? What this story seems to show us is that you can't just ignore your history. For Limhi's people, the only way forward was to look back, own their mistakes, and only then could they really start on the path to being free.